Episode 17. Ink That Counts Breaths. The market had decided to keep its costume. Bread steaming exactly right. Lamps trimmed to the same polite flame. A flute somewhere piping a tune so even it felt ironed flat. Liora walked inside that smoothness as if inside a lie. Ash still ringed the seams of her boots. When she scuffed them on a step, gray dust rose, then drifted back, as if the ground didn't want to lose track of her. Short steps, Aunt Faye said. The market's measuring. Measuring what? Liora asked. What it can lift, Elias answered. They cut through a lane of familiar wares, arranged in unfamiliar ways. Ribbon sellers bundling silence with color, a pastry stall with perfect twists that never cooled. Twice, Liora saw her reflection in a kettle lid and didn't recognize her own mouth. The coin in her pocket lay cool, then warm, then cool again, a heartbeat testing its boundaries. Where are we going? She asked. To a place that pretends not to be a part of this, Faye said, which makes it very much part of this. The place turned out to be a narrow house wedged between two tents selling borrowed noon in glass ampoules. A wooden plaque over the door simply read, Reconciliations. Inside, the air smelled of chalk and old rain. Shelves climbed the walls, crowded with thin boxes tied shut with twine. A desk sat at the far end under a lamp whose light never flickered. A woman with hair the color of coin metal looked up. No smile, no welcome, only a level accountant's attention. What have you brought me? She asked. Breath, Faye said. Liora blinked. Breath? Not yours. The woman tipped her head toward Elias. His. Elias stiffened. No. Faye didn't look at him. Not to sell, to count. The woman considered them as one considers a scale before placing anything on it. Counting invites tallying, she said. Tallying invites due. We're aware, Faye said. We are not children. Said the woman, which meant she had decided they were risks worth entertaining. She drew a shallow wooden tray from beneath the desk and slid it across the surface. Breathe onto the paper when I say. Elias didn't move. Liora found her breath shortening to match his. Do we have to? We don't, Faye said. But it will happen somewhere less honest if we don't do it here. The woman held out a sheet the thickness of onion skin. On 3, she said. 1, 2. Elias exhaled. Ink bloomed across the paper, crisp as frost forming on glass. Not letters. Numbers at first. Then the numbers softened into strokes that looked like strokes of weather. Then those strokes arranged themselves into a single line that made Liora's throat tighten. Promised 1. Then below it, a second line. Paid 0. A third line appeared, slower. Collateral silence. The words sat on the page like a weight. The clerk's eyes flickered to Elias's face, then to Liora's. No price named, she said, which is worse. Elias held very still, the way a person does when a doctor presses tender flesh. We're finished. Almost, the woman said. She tilted the paper, letting the ink shine and dull. There, she murmured. Tiny figures, ticks, glowed in the margin like embers. She pointed at one that burned faintly brighter than the rest. An attempt. Recent. By someone else to pay down what isn't theirs. Liora flushed as if the lamp had leaned close. I haven't... Not you, the woman said. The market itself. A token acting as mouth. Her gaze slid to Leora's pocket as surely as if she could hear the coin's heat. The attempt was deflected, for now. Liora curled her hand around the coin and felt it admit nothing. She pushed the heat down. Not denial, exactly. Refusal to let it speak first. "What does this buy us?" Elias asked, voice flat. "A line," the woman said. "You can find yourself on it next time. That is better than guessing in the dark." She set the paper on a rack. The ink dulled to a sober gray, the kind that belongs to ledgers and grave markers. Then she took a thin box from the shelf and wrote a number on its edge. "You can take the copy or leave it with me." "Leave it," Faye said, without consulting either of them. "We won't be the ones to keep it safe." They stepped back into the market. Noise rushed up as if to fill the space they had created around the truth. Liora kept her hand on the coin until her palm hurt. The ordinary mask sat straight tonight. If you didn't know to look, you could walk here and buy bread and go home believing you had only bought bread. "Collateral," Liora said. Silence. What does that mean? Elias didn't answer. The ash at his heel scuffed, and the sound of it made Liora think of a clock. They passed a cellar of small brass cages, empty, each hung with a tag. "For keeping unmasked questions." Read one. "For holding warnings you can't bring yourself to speak." Read another. Liora walked faster. They reached a bridge that shouldn't have existed in a market, but did. A narrow span over a trickle of black water. The bridge had no railings, only strings of iron tokens nailed along its edges. "Don't drop anything," Faye said. "Don't look down unless you mean to." "Mean to what?" Liora asked. "Lose something you were willing to lose," Faye said. The middle of the bridge held a table manned by a child with ink on his fingers. He held a book too large for him and a stamp he could barely lift. A line of people waited. A horned woman, a human boy clutching a broken toy, a man with eyes like wet stone. When each reached the table, the child stamped their palm. The sound was soft and final. "Paid," the stamp read. "What are they paying?" Liora whispered. The child looked up at her without interest, and then directly at her pocket with too much interest. "Whatever the book says," he said, "or whatever it can be talked into saying." Liora felt the coin twitch. She clamped down. "We're just crossing." "Then cross," the child said, stamping a page as if shooing a fly. On the far side, the bridge delivered them into a quieter run of stalls, where the market breathed shallowly. A table covered in slips of paper stood unattended. Each slip bore a neat catalog number and a single sentence. "The dusk you swallowed rather than speak." "The name you meant to ask for." "The laugh you should have remembered." Leora's throat closed around that last one. She reached, then jerked back. "Not a shop," Faye warned. "An inventory." "Of what?" Liora whispered. "Of things people pretend they can live without," Faye said. "Who keeps it?" Liora asked. "Whoever intends to collect," Elias said. "Or whoever intends you to think they won't." The crowd shifted. The light shifted with it. For a heartbeat, every lamp in sight flared half a shade brighter and then steadied, like eyes widening. Liora felt watched, and not by people. "Tell me the promise," she blurted as they moved. It came out too loud. "Just tell me, Elias. What did you swear?" He didn't answer. "If I know it, I can stop walking into it blind. If I know it, I can..." You can what? He snapped. The words struck like a slammed door. You can pay for it while convincing yourself you're saving me? You can let your coin speak and call that courage? No. She flinched, then anger rose, clean and hot. I didn't ask to carry this, she shot back, hand on the coin as if it were a mouth she might cover. I didn't ask for a night to be taken from me, or for bells to erase the sound of Faye's laugh. I'm tired of being told to walk quiet while the market writes over us. Then learn how to make it right in your direction, Faye said sharply, and both of them went still. Want less. Choose slower. When your coin heats, don't grab it. Put your hands behind your back and breathe until it cools. Leora's cheeks burned. That's not a plan. It's a beginning, Faye said, and beginnings are what we have.